this is part of our video. We planned this all along because it's one of the natural things that happen to women in menopause, that bit of brain fog and that delay between the brain and what comes out of the mouth.
What am I doing? Where am I supposed to be? So,
and that's a great segue into what we're talking about. What the hell is menopause? What is going on with my body?
And why do we deserve this?
Yeah. Well, after all we've been through. Here we go again.
We've been through adolescence. We've been through marriages. We've given birth. We've either been divorced or widowed or grandparents, and we've done all these. Our bodies have done these incredible things. We're actually
caring for people.
We're still caring for people. Our bodies, as females, we're responsible for for the whole world's population. 50% of us are female.
And still working.
We work with Mother Nature all our lives, and then when we go to shake hands with her and say, "Well, thanks very much," she says, "No,
they're not done with you yet.
No, there's a whole," and not just a couple of years for most women. Mother Nature will say, "We've got a whole decade for you, just around the corner."
We're going to change that. We're going to fix that, and that's why we're here. So, menopause itself is, in the most basic terms, is the cessation of your menstrual cycle for 12 months. So if you haven't had a period for 12 months, they'll basically say that you are in menopause, unless, of course, you've gone into early menopause because of surgery or for whatever reason.
Which is fine, but let's talk about the symptoms, first of all, of menopause, because a lot of women don't realise that they're in menopause until they are actually in menopause. They don't. A lot of women that I speak to have never heard the term perimenopause, and to be perfectly honest,
perimeni,
to be honest, it wasn't until I was in my 40s did I even hear the term perimenopause. So that I found really interesting.
So perimenopause, well, it's basically when your period stops, you start to get these fluctuations of your hormones. So your estrogen and progesterone levels change, and they cause or can cause all sorts of havoc in your body. Now, having said that, some women coast through menopause. Some cultures coast through
This video is not for them.
No.
This
video is for the other 99%.
Well done, you.
The other 99% of the population that is screaming out for help. And it causes all sorts of problems. So I suppose the things that people notice the most, obviously hot flushes for menopause is, the number one thing I think that most people complain about. But when you're in perimenopause, some of the things that start to creep up on you, a bit like brain fog, forgetfulness.
Brain fog for me, definitely.
Forgetfulness?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, kind of major forgetfulness. Like, it had me worried at one point. Before I knew what perimenopause was, I was convinced I had early onset dementia. And I don't say that lightly, because when you sit around with women a lot of the time, they actually have this fear of that themselves until they actually understand that there is this thing called perimenopause, and it can come along up to 5 years before you actually enter into those menopausal years.
Sometimes even more.
And even more. I was talking to a girl just the other day who started menopause at 38 years old. Yeah.
And it's really something, the sooner you get on top of it, the sooner you get the right help and the right testing to know exactly what's going on with your hormones and the symptoms that you're experiencing, the sooner you're going to be able to get through it, in a more manageable way.
I think the key thing here is, first and foremost, it's awareness. It's perimenopause and menopause awareness. Once you understand those two, that's when amazing people like you come into play, because we can then say, right, we now can see the symptoms. We know that we're experiencing change.
And it's okay.
And we can go and get, tests done. Now, most people go and get a blood test done. We're big advocates for saliva testing. Tell us why.
Saliva and hair. Well, saliva tests. So blood tests, what people need to understand, blood tests are a great baseline but it basically just counts the number of red blood cells. It counts your cholesterol. So it gives you a numbers game, and that's great in the scheme of things. But what saliva testing does is tells you about the relationship between your hormones. So it'll tell you the relationship between the different estrogens, because it's not just one, there's several of them, and the relationship between estrogen and progesterone. So it gives you this scale that is really important in honing in the nutrients that you need, or the supplements you need, or the lifestyle changes you need to make. So they're the indicators that give us just that little bit more information that we can work with.
Agreed.
Having said that, blood tests, great basic, starting point. You need to get the basics.
Yes. But there's nothing more frustrating, and I suppose the reason I wanted to mention that was because it's not uncommon, ladies, for women to go and have a blood test done because they're having symptoms, showing signs of, and that their blood tests come back perfectly normal. Yes. That's quite common, and so therefore what happens is you end up leaving the doctor's office thinking that it's all in your head, and or that it's coming from a different source, or the anxiety is coming from a different source, or the mood swings are coming from a different source. But actually it's not, and that's why I always say to ladies when they say, well, I've had my blood test, and they say, look, I'm not going through menopause. You might not be, but I always think it's important to create the awareness about saliva testing.
Yes.
Yeah, as
absolutely.
a secondary.
And get it done regularly, like even blood tests, like begin with that. Because the thing is, if you have it done on a regular basis, and I encourage people to have it every year, I mean, medical people might not like that or think it's unnecessary, but I don't. Because the thing is, if you do have it every year and something shows up, then you have this wonderful history of testing to go by to go, oh, hang on, something's not quite right there. It's like tweaking the car.
What?
You fix it when it first goes wrong, not wait till it falls apart and doesn't drive
Well, it's
anymore.
not that. A lot can happen in anyone's life, a woman's life, especially in a 12-month period.
Yeah.
And especially with the last 2.5 years, it's been interesting the amount of premature menopause, or people that have been in post-menopause coming back into menopause, throughout this period.
Yes.
So a lot can happen to your body and your hormones as we are older.
Yeah.
So I validate
A year's a long time.
Yeah, I absolutely validate that. I do.
It's a really good idea. So let's talk about, all right, we've gone through a bit of symptoms of menopause. So brain fog's a big one, especially in perimenopause. Then you've got things like your hot flushes. Weight gain's a huge one because our metabolism slows down. We don't process things the same way as we used to. We don't have that energy and vitality that we did when we were in our 20s and 30s. God, I miss that.
Yeah.
Sex and relationships changes, vaginal dryness.
Can we just talk about that just for a moment? Because again, it's one of those more common issues than people realise, and it's something that people are really uncomfortable talking about. And it can really have a drastic effect on your whole life, your partner's life, your family life, and literally everything that you do. Having uncomfortable sex or painful sex is not fun for anyone. No. And as women, we tend to not like to complain, so we, tend to put up, and shut up for, I know it sounds a bit draconian in this day and age, but, as wives of 20, 30 years, it's very common. And so we do hear this story quite a lot where women are having sex because they love their husbands, but it's actually extremely uncomfortable because there's no lubrication, there's no the body's not producing lubrication
Absolutely, because of the loss of estrogen. But the other thing to remember too, that it's not just vaginal dryness that's an issue. It's going to be all your mucous membranes. So you're probably going to find your skin's quite dry. Your mouth might be dry. Dry mouth is an issue. Dry eyes is another one. So you do have all these telltale signs. There are these things that sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And, you may not contribute that to perimenopause or menopause, but it is a part of the picture. So, that drying of the skin, drying of mucous membranes, doesn't just happen in the vagina. It happens everywhere.
I didn't realise that you would connect the eye. There you go.
Absolutely.
Even I learned from our chats.
There you
this
go.
is great.
So, even though all this stuff's going on, now, this is the reason why you got into this space. You've been in the health space for a long, long time, but having conversations with girlfriends, this is what prompted you to move into menopause, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I started off as a beauty therapist some 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And when people go to a therapist, a beauty therapist, it's a bit like going to a hairdresser. People like to talk. And they like to have a chat, and they like to share. It's like, sit down in the chair, and it's like, wow, I don't even know you, but I'm just going to share the most intimate parts of my life with you.
We are good at that.
And we trust that, and we trust. And then I went on to have the colonic clinic, and that was when I really started getting interested into women's health particularly, because most of my customers were women, and that's when I really started to understand the gut brain connection, the impact of the bacteria and probiotics, a good probiotic and good bacteria, and how that affected not just the way that, the bloating and your digestive system, but the skin, the way you think,
the relationship
the
to
brain
everything
clarity
else in the body.
was fascinating. And that's a whole another topic about parasites and worms
We'll do gut health
that I'll save for another time. And then obviously Nature's Help came along, and we were dealing in weight loss. Again, still predominantly, a female problem there. And then turmeric, of course, again, mainly dealing with women and aging, inflammation, which can start, which we're finding now starting even younger. And then sort of I got older along the way.
It happens.
And I started to age, and I was finding that when we were going out, we would normally be talking about travel, the kids have gone out, and we would just be focused on, having fun. And all of a sudden what I found was this topic of menopause started creeping into the conversation about 5 or 6 years ago, because we were also like mid-40s, early 50s at that point. And I couldn't believe some of the symptoms. I would be sitting there talking to a girlfriend of mine, and literally I could see the beads on her top lip, and I'd be like, "Love, are you all right?" She's like, "Just having a flush."
Just get the menu.
Just having a flush. I'm like, "You're having a what?" She's like, "A hot flush." I was like, "No, I don't know what that is." And then sort of as we've all got older, all of my friends have had different symptoms.
Yes.
So when we sit down, it's kind of like, "Have you got this?" Go, "No, but I've got that." "Oh, are you suffering from that?" "No, but I'm suffering from that, and I bet you're not suffering as bad as me."
Yes.
So what started out as just like a little bit of a joke about the symptoms.
Oversharing.
And oversharing. There was some definite oversharing there at some point. But it always kind of spun back around to a serious point as well. And the question was like, what do we do about it? There's nothing out there to fix this. Now, yes, there is HRT. And that's been around for quite some time, and it has a bit of a reputation, which you can talk about that a bit later. But we're in very much a time where women are a lot more self-conscious of what they put into their bodies, and they definitely want the freedom to choose, and they are really looking for the natural a natural solution. Now, we've seen what's happened in the nutraceutical industry in the last 10 years alone, how it's grown tenfold, which shows us that is what women are looking for.
What women want.
They've been taking the pill for 20 years. They've been taking pharmaceuticals for their body for such a long time. And now we're in a very much of an educated state of our life, being older. We're educated in so many different ways that we were not when we were 20 years old.
And we have those resources available to search and to educate ourselves. So there's a lot of information out there.
So anyway, long story short, so I was like, well, I'm coming up for this. So I started searching for what was going to be what's available for when I start my menopause journey, because I'm only really in perimenopause with mild symptoms. And there wasn't really anything that was specific. There was some incredible blogs. There's some really neat community groups and women sharing, and I thought that was marvellous.
And there's one-off herbs here and there.
Yeah, absolutely, they're great. But there wasn't actually any specific range that would cover target the main symptoms, because there's so many symptoms. I mean, I couldn't come up with something that was going to target all 40 or 50 of them, but certainly the main ones. Now, every range, when you go into a health food store or to a pharmacy, they all have a generic menopause product. And it'll say that it does this,
it's just a generalised.
But it's just a general one. But when you look at the feedback and reviews and from talking to people that use it, it wasn't really doing what it said on the bottle. It just wasn't doing it.
And the thing is too, with a generic product, with a generalised product, it might be good to, it might abate a few symptoms here and there. But the problem is, because women, we're all different. you need different treatments.
Yeah.
So one product isn't going to fix anyone, and
No.
it's never been that way. So, and especially with naturopathy and natural medicine, it is about looking at the individual and giving them specific herbs or specific vitamins or nutraceuticals.
That's exactly right. And what I found with a lot of these generic products is there was 10, 15 different herbs and spices, so to speak, in each capsule. So there was never really a therapeutic dose of any one ingredient that was going to have an effect. Now, if you're not any of the wiser, you'd be just looking and go, oh look, it's got all these great things in it, so it must be good. But actually, quite often that's the opposite of what really occurs. Because if you don't have a therapeutic dose of a certain whatever it is that you're taking it for, it's not going to work. I have that like with turmeric. People say, why do I have to take 4 capsules of turmeric? Well, when I explain that 4 capsules of turmeric is equivalent to 1 teaspoon of turmeric, which is roughly what the body needs for it to have a medicinal anti-inflammatory effect. Now understand it. If you just take a pinch of turmeric, that's not going to do you any good whatsoever.
Might make your curry taste good.
Well, not even. I mean, not even. So it's all about that therapeutic dose. Yeah. So that's when you and I got together and our regulatory consultant got together and we went back all through history, like the last, 200-300 years of Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese herbs, all those things that are being used for women, that have been going through hormonal changes. Yeah. And we developed this range, and every one of those, every one of the products has a therapeutic dose of each ingredient in it. So that effectively, that's why we are getting the reviews that we're getting, because it's actually working for most people. Yeah. And it's not a one size fits all. I wish I could sit here and say to you that it was a magic pill, because it's not, as you said, because every single woman is different. We are all uniquely different.
And sometimes you need combinations of things too. Like a woman who's having hot flushes doesn't necessarily need something for her iron levels. But, some women will need the combination of hot flushes but also calming the nervous system. So they're going to need another product that's going to deal with the anxiety and the stress that's going on.
Also know about hot flushes and night sweats. They're 2 different things, and you don't always get both, even though they are common. Just to clarify, hot flushes are something that occurs during the day. That's right. Night sweats happen at night. Now, if you're suffering from night sweats, they can be quite severe, like literally soaking the sheets, and that's where the like the Menofemin, for example, may also help, because if you are releasing that much water from the body of the night, you are definitely going to have vaginal dryness.
Yes, absolutely. You're going to be dehydrated. Yeah. So should we go through the products? Let's go through this beautiful collection. It's called the Menopause Collection, which is wonderful. And let's go through them.
Sure, we'll start with the most popular.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is our most popular product, and it is Menopause. And it is for what we've just been talking about. For both hot flushes and night sweats. But it also has some other really good attributes in here as well, things as well. One of the common things that, regardless of what symptom you are experiencing going through menopause, mood swings and anxiety pretty much is up there with every single one of them. And it's not your fault. It's your hormones' fault.
It is hormones, and it's also stress hormones too. So don't just think it's estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. We've also got stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline. And sometimes this can be quite a stressful time for a lot of women, because we do get anxiety about menopause, but we also get anxiety or stress from outside influences that create that problem. And these heightened sense of these stress hormones can then contribute to our menopausal hormones, which makes that worse. So it's this whole, roller coaster and merry-go-round of different things that are going on, but all contributing to the symptoms.
Our magic ingredient in this was the black cohosh, wasn't it? And that's what we have found. That's really seems to be achieving those results for
and sage. I love sage.
You love sage.
As a naturopath and a herbalist, sage is one of my absolute favourites, and it's a really old traditional, wise woman's herb. So let's use nature for what it's intended. So the next one
would have been cool and calm, but we don't.
Calm. Oh, did I not grab the? Oh dear. Oops.
Hang
My
on.
mistake.
Yeah, just keep talking.
Oh, we just happened to have one we prepared earlier. So yes, we have them everywhere, and they're here. Look here, Menno. Where is it? It's behind us on the wall somewhere, but here we go. Here's one.
Right, now Menocalm. The reason I brought up Menocalm was really what we've just been talking about, stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
And apart from the fact that it's the hormones doing what they do and causing that, there's also a big element of the fact, women, that it's kind of like when we have that moment where we realise that we are actually going through menopause. It's kind of like we realise that this is the last stage of our lives. Now, we might not say it out loud, but in the back of our minds, it's kind of like, oh, am I at that stage of my life? Because I don't feel like it. I don't feel like I'm, 50 years old. I feel like I'm 40 years old. And so you kind of, when you start having those symptoms, it's kind of like, but I don't feel that age, or I don't feel I look that age. And so this almost brings on a little bit of natural aging anxiety, as I call it, because you go, well, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go into the next phase of my life, because
the sooner you accept it, the more the painless it will be.
But it is true. It is one of the things that causes a lot of anxiety in women, because it creeps up on them because they're not expecting it.
And I found too, like even myself with menopause, I'm not an anxious person. I'm not a stressed out person, but I did have this natural anxiety that started to rise in me just over little things, or doing something different, or staying out later than normal, like really weird things that were happening for me. And I'm thinking, why am I feeling like this? And it was just my nervous system was different, my hormones.
Your stomach felt different.
It's not a nice feeling.
No, so Menocalm is good for that, and it's just it's a really good all-rounder balancing. But if you are a person that suffers from any kind of stress or mood swings, like menstrual mood swings, prior to actual going through menopause, absolutely this is perfect for that.
Yeah, you don't have to be menopausal to take the stress and anxiety. Like that'd be good too for younger women. Who suffer from anxiety, because it does have some beautiful calming herbs in there. So passion flower, again, herbal, from a herbal perspective for me, passion flower, it's just such a beautiful herb from a herbalist point of view. And lavender oil is really nice. We all know how wonderful lavender is to calm.
You can also give it to your husbands if they're giving you the...
lots of it.
Just double the dose. Okay. We'll move on to one of my favourites.
Oh, this is the gold 5-star.
This is the gold one. This is the anti-aging product. Due to certain regulations, we can't use the AA word, so we actually call it organ and aging health.
To keep us youthful.
There's another way. To keep us youthful, absolutely.
Feedback on this is fantastic. So some feedback from friends on this is, once they started taking it, they found that they were having to have a bit of a nana nap in the afternoon, and when they were taking this, they didn't have to have that. So it just kept their vitality at a nice even keel.
Well, this has got the Niagen in it and the CoQ10, which is a great combination. So it's really good to helping balance out your metabolism, and really like just strengthening one's chi.
Organ health, heart health. So what you need to understand from things like CoQ10 and other ingredients like the reishi mushroom that's in there as well, is that it strengthens your heart. So when we have things that strengthen our heart and our heart health, it means our heart doesn't have to work as hard. So if our heart doesn't have to work as hard, it means you don't age as quickly, right? It doesn't create that stress.
And it's easier on other organs like your liver, your kidneys, and it just helps everything function really well.
Beautiful product.
It is a beautiful product. It goes hand in hand with the next one, which is one of my favourites, is Meno Renew. Now this is like the ultimate, sleeping tablet. 2 of these at night, and you'll just sleep like a baby.
If you're not sleeping, if you have restless sleep, or you have trouble getting to sleep, it's for all those things. So it helps you get to sleep sooner, and it helps you stay asleep longer.
For longer. Absolutely. So if you're someone at the moment that's waking up every 2 or 3 hours, this will really get you through to 4 or 5. Yep. It's a great product. The reviews on it are really encouraging. So those that have
sleep is so important for healing too. At night, our body does all its healing and regeneration processes. So if you're not sleeping, you're not healing, you're not recovering. Yeah, and that's not a good thing.
Well, you always like us to make sure that we sleep past, is it 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock past the liver time?
1 till 3 is liver hour according to the Chinese clock, and that is when your liver is active. So if there's a bit of stress on your liver, if you've had a big night out, you've been drinking too much, there's a lot of stress around you, then your liver is going to be active between 1 and 3, and that's when all your hormones are overactive too. That's when most women will wake up between 1 and 3. So that's what's
really good about this. If you can get past 3 o'clock in the morning, you're doing some healing.
Absolutely.
Doing some healing there.
Okay, Meno Health. Let's go.
Meno Health is just Yes. So this is a good all-rounder. If you're needing that, if you're not getting to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a classic sign of that is being short of iron. Yes. So this is a really good iron supplement. Though you should always check your iron levels first before taking iron supplement. You do not need to supplement with iron if you already have good iron levels.
That's right. And again, this is not only for perimenopause and menopausal women, this is great for younger women as well who have a lot of blood loss, menstrual blood loss. Yep. So that's a really nice support for them. It's got copper, it's got some cofactors in there that are really important for the absorption of iron. So it's not just about, and this is where your blood test, it only counts your iron. It doesn't talk about the health of your iron and the health of oxygen molecules that are on your red blood cells. So there's all these biological pathways that need to be supported, and that does that because of the cofactors that are in there. Our second most popular product, I know we've touched on it, I know we've said dry vagina a few times, but it is the Menofemin, and it just goes to show just how much of an issue that this particular topic is for women that are perimenopause and going through those menopause stages, especially in those later stages. The other good thing about Menofemin is that it helps reduce the sugar cravings. As we spoke about before, menopause weight gain is horrible. It is the hardest weight to lose. And that's where a lot of depression comes from throughout those menopause years as well, because everything you thought that you knew how to do doesn't work anymore. No. And it's really, really challenging. But Menofemin really does help with the libido and body health, and like I said, with those sugar cravings as well as that extra lubrication. Beautiful herbs in there, shatavari with queen of herbs. What else in there? Astragalus, which is an adaptogen herb. I think, is it licorice that's in there as well for vitality? So there's a few, again, it's that combination of herbs that are in there that give you that
peony. Really that's the one I knew it would come to me.
Peony is very well known for hormone balancing and as an aphrodisiac. So
she who possesses 1,000 husbands, I think, is the
actual
pretend.
All right, God help us.
Our last one in the range. This one's probably a bit more of a serious one to have a chat about, even though I think we have covered a lot of it. But mental health has been something that's been in the forefront, especially for male health in the last decade. But female health is something that during menopause is not something that is overly talked about, discussed, or recognised for that matter. So Menomind is really about helping to enhance that cognitive function, because one of the key things that most women going through menopause experience is, like we said, that brain fog. And we all joke, we've all heard the joke, I've left my keys in the fridge. You're hunting high and low, or you walk into the room and you go, what was I here for? And you walk back out and you retrace your steps. Like, it's a real symptom.
But the menopause mind is so much worse. I mean, I experienced that and realised that it was a dip in my hormones, and it's that self-talk that's going on in your mind about your self-worth, and do I have anything of purpose to say or to contribute? Yep. And it's, this negative feedback spiral that you get in, and it's your mind, playing tricks on you. But it is a hormone imbalance and it is a nutrient imbalance. So if, we can get through that. I just found, some days I was in a real slump. It's awful, and better. Because you have that talk to yourself about going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why am I feeling like this?
Stop it.
You
know
better.
Slap
yourself around and know. But it is a really serious thing. And it needs to be addressed because you don't want it to spiral into anything worse. The Meno Mind can go really lovely with the Meno Calm. So they're two that can be taken together too, just to help really balance out your emotions, balance out your mental health.
It was a really important product for me when we were doing this, to make sure that we got the right ingredients to be able to have an impact, because positivity is something that we really need to stay on top of when we enter this stage of our life, because if you only have like mild symptoms, like my mother had very mild symptoms and she pretty much breezed through it. But I have sat across from women, you know, in tears, and they're in the year 9 or year 10 of menopause. I've known women where it's lasted 15 years, and some that are still having night sweats at the age of 75 years old. You know, it's not uncommon at all. So, you know, this was the whole point of creating a range. I couldn't do something for every single ailment, but rather than, you know, pick the main ones.
You certainly hit the nail on the head with the main symptoms.
I think so. And the feedback that we've had from women, that it's really helping them in a natural way. Now, you might still want to go down the medical path, and you still might want to go down, you know, with HRT, but you can still combine natural therapies with any other therapy. There is nothing stopping you from doing that. None of these are going to do you any harm.
You just need to speak with both practitioners to make sure you don't take things together. You know, prescription medicine and supplements should always be taken apart, but they can absolutely complement each other in your treatment protocol. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to quickly mention, because I love this. So recently we did a photo shoot, and because this was created for women by women, right? We wanted to showcase real women. Yeah. Because it's not about, you know, just some pretty images on the internet that anyone can offload and promote their products with. These are real women. These are our friends.
They're real friends.
And we sucked them all into doing a photo shoot with us.
Not paid friends.
No. But they're beautiful women. They're all on, you know, the Menopause Collection products of some description. And then we did a back one. Ooh, sexy time. Yeah. So, but what we wanted to showcase was, you know, these are real women. These are all shapes and sizes. These are all different aged women who are all experiencing different symptoms, but who are all benefiting from 1, 2, or maybe more of this incredible collection, the Menopause Collection. So, you know, Kirsty, you've created a gift for women, and you filled a hole in the market that was desperately needed for so many women who are looking for a natural solution to perimenopause and menopause. And it's something that I hope just grows and grows and gets, you know, global accolades for what it's doing.
That was what it was. It was creating a natural solution for a natural process.
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing you can do to stop it.
No.
That was really where it came from, because I was like, well, how do I stop this? How do I not go through this? And then when you realise that you can't, it's like, well, how do I get through it, you know, as best, as easy and as naturally as I can?
And there is a solution. It's called the Menopause Collection.
The Menopause Collection.
So we want you to share it with your friends, you know, share it with your family, teach your children, teach your daughters, you know, have these conversations with people, but, you know, have them in a positive light, knowing that there is a solution for your menopause issues.
Yes, there is. So I'm very proud of the Menopause Collection. I really hope that you know, if you are watching this and you're experiencing any symptoms, that you give it a try. And see how you can benefit from it.
And if you have any questions, get in contact with us at Nature's Help. We're always here. We're happy to chat to you, and we're happy to help guide you in the right product, especially for you. All right. Have a beautiful day. See you, ladies.
Bye.